All right. So this session is about Azure Data Certifications and Training. I'm actually studying for a current Azure Data an Azure certification. I'm studying for the Azure Architect certifications, but I just found out, not just found out, I've just been thinking about it. The two exams that I'm interested in taking, AZ, I think it's 300 and 301. They're retiring those exams in September and then retiring the certification for whatever that means in December. So I don't know that I find that worth it. So I might be stopping in my tracks and going from there. So I'm going to go ahead and put in the chat room just real quick the my information. Oh no, I'll get that at the end. Sorry. Again, just if you didn't know, I'm a cloud solutions architect with Microsoft. Let me go ahead. Oh, Olsen is. Here's what we're doing for this session. We're going to go look at Microsoft Learn. And what Microsoft Learn is, it's the hub for certification, info, and free training and resources, but everything's been pushed into Microsoft Learn. There's no Microsoft Virtual Academy anymore. There's no hands-on lab site anymore. There's no Microsoft courses on like edx.org. They've been pushed into, or the Microsoft Professional Program. It's all been pushed into content on Microsoft Learn. So we'll go look at Microsoft Learn. And hold on, let's see here. Hold on, everybody. Okay, so everything's been pushed into Microsoft Learn. So then we'll take a look at broadly, it's a single slide. We'll talk about the Microsoft program in general, what it is, and what you can sort of anticipate getting out of it. We'll talk about the Microsoft data certifications. So there are a couple of data certifications that have been added. There is the AI, the Artificial Intelligence Engineer Associate certification. There's the Azure Data Engineer Associate certification. And there is now there's the Azure Data Science certification. Those were three that were in place up through at least Christmas time. But recently they've come out with two new ones. I don't know how recent, but a couple within the past few months, they've come out with the Data Analyst Associate certification and the Azure Database Administrator. Is that Azure Database? I think it's just Database Administrator certification that sort of goes through all the things you need to know to be a database administrator on the Azure Data Platforms. So we'll talk about the three that are in existence and the two they've added. Then we'll talk about some general exam preparation tips. Then we'll go into the Cloud Skills Challenge. I'll talk about what it is, but if you have a Microsoft account team rep, ask them about it because they can set if you're a Microsoft customer, they can set you up internally to go into the challenge. It's a set of Azure-based skills that you compete with other team members in your company to maybe win some swag, some kind of little prizes. And then we'll talk about session resources. So before we get into the slides, is anyone right now, and you can type it in the chat on the text on the meeting, but is anyone studying for an exam or a certification right now? Well, even if it's not Microsoft, has anyone earned a certification or anyone passed an exam recently? And it doesn't have to be a Microsoft exam. I know there's HP exams and Cisco exams, AWS exams, you name it. If there's a technology out there that's testing, yep, so a lot of folks are out there doing some good stuff. What are you using for getting ready for your exam? Internet resources, I'll just say online study guides. Nothing yet. Okay, well, if you're getting ready for a Microsoft exam, hopefully this will help kind of steer you in maybe the right direction. AWS using online guides, Azure fundamentals from Michelle. Cool, cool. I'm going to shut my camera off to improve the bandwidth and all that kind of good stuff. Plus, I can have bad posture with the camera. Kidding. So that's cool. So we got some people that are taking some exams. Now you can go, there's a lot of different spots to go if you want to learn about certification for different vendors. Microsoft recently has created within the past year, Microsoft Learn, and it's the hub for all your certification info and your free training resources. You can get to it by going to microsoft.com/learn, or eventually the URL will resolve to docs.microsoft.com, /learn. Let's go ahead and take a look at Microsoft Learn real quick. Let's go here. No, wait, no, hold on a second. Hold on one second. So this is Microsoft Learn. Even recently, I did a presentation on Microsoft Learn, and there was a link here for self-paced training versus instructor-led training, classroom-based training, or
Tim, you stop.
hands-on labs.
You stop
and even
sharing.
that's changed just a little bit. If you go and look, the Learn site has learning paths on it for a whole bundle of learning. It has Learn TV, which is videos and content to watch on demand or even live. Also information about your Microsoft certifications. Most of the certifications have a recommended learning path underneath the certification information, where you can look at the certification information, the required exams, and then the recommended learning path. And the learning paths are usually things like these learning path modules, or a module can be an individual standalone module that's not part of a path, or it could be a path with several modules in it. And here's some examples of popular learning paths. And here's some things in it that's new and recently updated.
Hey, Tim, can you hear us okay?
Okay, you're seeing random video. Hold on.
Screen is not
One
shared.
second.
Sharing is not on. Okay, that's good.
Sorry about that. Now you should be seeing the Microsoft Learn screen. I apologize. I don't have a moderator, so let's hold the questions until the end, since I can't really see them right now. Now I'm back to sharing stuff, and I see a couple people have warned me about not being able to see the screen. I apologize about that. So anyway, this is Microsoft Learn. It's a great resource for, well, it's the main resource for your certifications, your learning resources, and things like Learn TV. If you want to go and learn on your own schedule, you can look at all the options here, where you can do some filtering. Let's say we want to filter on SQL Server. We can get the different courses we have for just SQL Server, upgrading, migrating, using the query tuning assistant, migrating SQL workloads out to Azure. And some of these are pretty long. I mean, for example, this is the difference between a module and a learning path, where a module might be 28 minutes, but a learning path might be 4 hours. I'll go into a module here in just a second and show you sort of the difference. But anyway, Microsoft Learn is now sort of the end-all be-all of content. Let me go out here to Learn TV. We still have things like Channel 9 that are out there, by the way. So you can go out to Channel 9. But I did want to let you know, I just want to show you a couple things, like the professional program. that was retired on December 31st. It's all backed into Microsoft Learn. EDX, if you take Microsoft courses from EDX, there's no classes scheduled. It's all kind of, oops, sorry, taking my kids to the aquarium this weekend. So anyway, Microsoft Learn is very important for getting out there and getting your, getting out there and getting some content. Now, here is an example of Learn TV with the live views of Learn TV, different content that's either scheduled to be put out there or has already been loaded for you to watch. There's some featured content. It's in preview right now, but I'm sure we're going to get more and more rich content. There's all the video sessions available from Build, modern web UI with Blazor, WebAssembly, C# today, you name it, all out there on Microsoft Learn TV. Let me kind of bring my slides back up. So Microsoft.Learn, that's your new hub for all this good stuff. Again, on Microsoft Learn, there are modules, and then there are learning paths. A module is an individual topic or a course, and then a learning path is a group of modules or courses inside of sort of a string of courses that allows you to maybe obtain a certification, not by taking the modules, but to help you prepare. And then there's the concept of the Azure Sandbox, because you're like, well, is this slideware? Is this click through? It's a little bit of, it's a lot of reading. It's a lot of, clicking next on content that we present to you, but we also have our Azure Sandbox. And what that is that as a training resource where you're allocated sandbox space in our Azure development environment, or our environment for, just messing around. And with the Azure Sandbox, you can have this temporary resource to do whatever task is part of a module or a learning path. And then, of course, Learn TV, your video sessions and recordings. But if you're wondering about where are the hands-on labs, where are the virtual machine environments that you're used to seeing with the hands-on lab, that's kind of gone away. And now you use the Azure Sandbox for completing whatever task that's in your lab. Just some real quick marketing slides about Microsoft Learn. Again, best way to learn Azure quickly. There's step-by-step training, role-based learning path to help you based on your area of interest, or maybe a technology-specific area to kind of jump in, or maybe some type of module where you just want to learn a set scope or smaller scope of information. Here's an example of the Introduction to Azure course, where you have an introduction, you have sort of a tour of Azure. You might use the sandbox at no charge. Even if you have an existing Azure account or your company has an Azure account, that doesn't matter. You'll log in with your credentials into the sandbox and spin up the resources that you need to do, interact with them, and they'll just go away at the end of a certain time limit. And then you do your task in the sandbox. There's a small knowledge check and a summary of what you learned with a timestamp that they actually put on the module. For example, it's 36 minutes for this example, but it's all kind of, it's repeated in other places for the courseware that's inside of the modules and the learning paths inside of Microsoft Learn. The Microsoft certification program, and I'll shoot out here in just one second, but if you've not taken a certification, if you have, you know this well. There's an exam that covers fundamentals, there's exams that are role-based, and then there are exams that cover a specific technology. Most exams are 165 per exam attempt. They're different. I forgot the rules on how often you can take an exam if you fail it. I believe if you fail an exam, you have to wait 2 weeks before a retake. I don't know what it would be for your third attempt. Certifications, that depends on what certification you're pursuing and what exam you've taken. But one or more exam leads to earning the whatever certification. So let's go out to the certification site. Hold on just a second. So here are the certificate. Oops, sorry. I'm still sharing, yes. So here are the certifications. There are developer certifications, data engineer certifications, DevOps engineer certifications, administrator certification, data scientist certification, security engineer, solution architect certifications, AI engineer, functional consultant. This is a little bit dated because there's more certifications. There's role-based certification. There's fundamental certifications. And these fundamental certifications are, in a manner of speaking, optional if you're going to pursue a role-based or some of these additional certifications. For fundamental certifications, there's the Azure Fundamentals, there's the Office 365 Certified Fundamentals, Power Platform Fundamentals, role-based certifications. Again, Power Platform, MCSE, all these that you're used to seeing, but now we have things like data analyst and database administrator that we'll take a look at it here in just a second. But that's just an overview of, hey, I'm interested in a certification. I want to learn about it. So you go to Microsoft Learn, certifications, overview, and then you kind of look at this top landing page as an area to delve further, particularly if you want to do something like AI engineering. Here's the certification path. Oh, here's one, data engineering. I took this in December. And the data engineering certification requires 2 exams. We'll go through this in a moment for all of these certifications, but you take Data Platform 200 and 201. Can go drill into the certification itself. And so this should be in place for all the certifications. It shows you the 2 exams that you need to take, and then that you earn a certification. So you earn the associate certification, Microsoft Certified Data Engineer Associate, because you took the implementing an Azure Data Solution and then designed an Azure Data Solution exam. There's the skills that are measured, implement data storage, manage and develop data processing, and so forth. And then it gives you ways to prepare online and instructor paid. And of course, this has a class with it. But for the free stuff, here's the learning path that's underneath the top level part for the certification. So there's a certification details, skills measured, and then here is the free way to prepare Azure for the data engineer, store data in Azure, work with relational data, implement a data warehouse, implement data streaming, large-scale data processing, work with NoSQL, work with relational data, store data in Azure, all that good stuff. So then you have a certification, you have your exams, the skills measured, and then you have a learning path for sort of how do I approach this exam. And these things should give you, or should send you on the way to getting a certification. Hold on. Huh. Hold on. Okay. So that's Microsoft Learn. You definitely want to go out to Microsoft Learn if you're going to start your certification piece. Hold on one second. Got a question. Again, I'm going to have to hold the questions. I'll take this one, but I'll have to hold them until the end. Okay, sorry. So there's the example of the learning path I just showed you. There's a little bit more about the exam we mentioned. So here's the certifications, the top level certifications. There's the Azure Administrator, Azure Developer, Azure Security Engineer, the Data Scientist, the AI Engineer, the Data Engineer, the two that they added, which are the Database Administrator and the Data Analyst. And then there's a couple of expert certifications. There's a Solution Architect, which they're messing around with. They're retiring a couple of exams, and they look like they're retiring the cert, but I don't know for sure. Then a couple specialty certifications for SAP and IoT, and then there's the three fundamental. There's Azure Fundamentals, Azure AI Fundamentals, and Azure Data Fundamentals. So let's take a look at the data and AI certifications. One second here. Just had to check my time. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and build this slide out because it's a little bit funky. All right, so again, there's three fundamental exam or certifications. There are 5 associate certifications and an expert certification. For 3 optional ones, the Microsoft Azure AI Fundamentals, that kind of covers the fundamentals of AI, the basic building blocks of what you would put together to provide an AI solution. Then there is the Microsoft Certified Azure Fundamentals. That's the fundamentals of Azure, compute, networking, storage, security, principles of cloud technology. And then there's the Microsoft Certified Database Fundamentals, which is being a database or understanding data platform technologies in Azure. And then there's the associate level certifications. And this is the Data Scientist Associate, which is, models, deploying models, validating models for data science. There's the Data Engineer Associate, that's moving data, ETL, deciding which data processing engine you'll use, which components of our Azure Data Services you'll use, how would you store, target, and source data. There's the Azure AI Engineer Associate. There is the Azure Database Administrator Associate. Again, more certification questions around our knowledge assessment of, are you prepared to be an administrator of data on our Azure Data Services? And then there's the Azure Data Analyst certification, and that is really Power BI, how you would connect to data, present data, visualize data. And then on the expert certification, there's the Microsoft Certified Azure Solution Expert certification, and that is critical for showing that you know beyond fundamentals, beyond the associate level, an expert level around Azure solutions, around not just storage, storage or a certain topic. It's networking, storage, security, compute, making sure you know all that that Azure has to offer. And again, you can go down to look at aka.ms /exams in Azure to get more information about these. Let's go over through some of these exams for Azure Data Fundamentals. Now, the exam is DP, or Data Platform 900, and you'd cover core data concepts, relational data on Azure. There's some online and instructor-led training available. You'd look at non-relational data on Azure, or even analytical workloads on Azure. You'd take the DP 900 exam, and you would earn the Microsoft Certified Azure Data Fundamentals. One thing about Microsoft certifications is that we don't charge you every year to maintain the certification. We just charge you for the exam, and if you pass the exam, which I believe is a 700 or higher for most exams, then you earn the certification, and you don't have to pay any type of maintenance fee like a lot of certifications. I don't know about you guys, but I have my PMP, and I have my CISA and CISM certifications, and I have to pay annual fees for those. I have my CISSP. I have to pay an annual maintenance fee for that. I pay about $600 a year, I believe, in maintenance fees, plus all the continuing professional education credits that Microsoft doesn't expect you to track either. So there's no fee for maintaining your certification, and there's no continuing professional education that you have to plug in to prove that you know what you're talking about. Again, if you want to take the Data Fundamentals exam, there is some training. There's the exam, DP 900. There is a course out there, Microsoft Azure Data Fundamentals. A lot of this is brand new, so right now it's in beta. The exam's in beta, and so is the course, and it's just a single day. AI fundamentals, you're talking about AI workloads, fundamental principles of machine learning on Azure, features of computer vision, features of conversational workloads, conversational AI workloads, sorry. You would take the AI 900 exam, the Azure Fundamentals exam, and you would earn the certification, Azure AI Fundamentals. Now, as we move through the fundamentals piece, know that the fundamentals certification is optional. It's not a prerequisite for the associate or the expert, nor can it be used as a qualifying exam to earn an associate or expert exam. There is the details for the Azure AI Fundamentals exam. You would take the exam. You could take the course, AI Fundamentals. And again, those are in beta. So you'd be exposed to new stuff. There is the learning path for the Azure Data Engineer Associate exam. You'd take DP, Data Platform 200, implementing a data solution, and DP 201, designing a solution to achieve the Microsoft Certified Azure Data Engineer Associate exam. And it covers things like data storage, data processing, data solutions, Azure Data Storage Solutions, data processing, data security, and compliance. There are courses for this, and they're not in beta. There's implementing and designing courses. There are 3 in 2 days, so you could knock the course out if you want. There's 2 courses out in a 5-day work week if you had the desire to take exam DP 200 or exam DP 201. There's the AI Engineer Associate certification. You'd look at solution requirements, you'd look at designing an AI solution, implementing and monitoring an AI solution. There is some data engineering pieces in that exam and some data processing selection pieces in that exam that comes from the solution requirements and the design AI solutions bullet there to take AI 100. It's a single exam to help you earn the Microsoft Certified Azure AI Engineer Associate instead of the 2 exams. There is a 3-day course for that, designing and implementing an Azure AI solution that you can go and take with the exam AI 100 if you're preparing for that and you want instructor-led training. I did hear a question, little bell go off. I'll go look at that in a second. I'm not ignoring you, the person who's asking a question, but since I can't flip screens too easily. If you want to pursue the Azure Data Scientist Associate certification, you look at online training or instructor-led training. The exam tests you on developing your development environment, data modeling, feature engineering, model development to pass DP 100. And just passing that exam would help you earn that certification. And then the course for that, if you want to take an instructor-led course, it's 3 days, designing and implementing a data science solution on Azure. Now these 2 new ones, the data analyst and the database administrator, with the database administrator associate certification, DP 300, administering relational databases on Microsoft Azure. You'd look at planning and implementing data platform resources, implementing a secure environment, monitoring and optimizing operational resources, high availability, disaster recovery, monitoring, automation, looking at query performance, performing it admin by doing T-SQL. And that exam would help you earn that Microsoft Certified Azure Database Administrator Associate certification. You can take a course for that, instructor-led, that's 5 days. If you're preparing for your DP 300 exam. Again, I believe that exam's still in beta, and that course is either in beta and it'll be coming soon. Skills required for the Data Analyst Associate certification. Again, that's Power BI. It's analyzing data with Microsoft Power BI will earn you the Microsoft Certified Data Analyst Certified Associate or Data Analyst Associate certification. It grades you on preparing the data, modeling the data, visualizing, analyzing, and deploying and maintaining the data and setting up deliverables. Again, that's a 5-day Power BI course. Most of the Power BI workshops that I've been in, I haven't taught one, but I've been in them. They're all like 6 to 8 hours, Power BI dashboard in a day type situations. They're pretty good. So I can imagine a 5-day course on Power BI would really set you up pretty well in terms of learning the data analyst piece. General exam preparation tips. Most exams are about 50 to 60 multiple choice questions. I don't have this as a bullet, but sometimes they'll get into a pattern where you'll be asked 3 to 4 questions with just a slight change in the requirement, but the response lists are the same, but the answers are different per question. So it might be deploy something with this option, but you'll pick it differently. So everything looks the same. The question looks basically the same, except for a sentence segment at the end with the same 10 answers. And they'll do that 4 times in a row, question-wise. So that'll trip you up a little bit. The exam time duration varies per exam. I've had exams that were 120 minutes, 180 minutes. I've had exams that were 240 minutes, depending on what the exam covers. Is it a design exam? Is it a implementation exam? Some exams, and I have a screenshot, and I think I have a screenshot, have, they have case studies, and each case study might have 5 to 7, maybe 8 questions per case study. And then you might get 2 or 3 case studies per exam. So maybe 15 to 20 questions total that are case study related. And then you have to read the case study. They'll talk about the people that are in the company, the technology that they're using, what they're doing in business, what they're trying to achieve, the technologies that they've selected, and then you answer the questions in the case study based on the information you're provided. So you get like this big readable document that you can flip back to while you're going through your case study. And then as you move through the questions for the case, you can flip back and forth between the documentation and then the question. I'll show on the next slide the hands-on lab questions, but there are hands-on labs that pop up and they're task-based. So you might be required to complete 3 to 4 to 5 to 6 tasks in the hands-on lab that'll give you maybe an Azure environment, and you'll click through a blade or a series of properties inside of a blade based on whatever the task is. Again, most exams are 165. I know I put that elsewhere in the slide, but I did want to remind you that most exams are $165. And then your certifications, one or more exam leads to earning the certification. Most exams have this hands-on lab component. I've had a couple of exams where I was told by colleagues who had previously taken it that although it lists a hands-on lab, like 201 and 200, there weren't any hands-on labs at all in the exams. But I was prepared to answer hands-on lab questions. I think they've had some technology challenges around invoking the Azure Blade for the Q&A piece of the lab, so I think they scrapped, but for a small, short period of time, I guess, stop doing those until they can smooth out. But again, be prepared for your hands-on labs. It maps into what you do every day, and it shows that you can demonstrate your skills. And then they might have 2 labs, this with 7 to 9 tasks. So what you would do with a question, if you get a question and you have time, you should have time for some of the solution design questions, map it out. Map out the solution to what is presented in the question and see what makes sense. So that way you can have some kind of way to refer back to concrete knowledge that you might have developed or a design solution that you've written down on paper that you can see what the question is asking and you know what they're talking about. You know what component will fit and what component won't fit in the solution. Write down the question. Understand the summary of what they're asking for. And if they've got a current state and a desired state, write that down and detail out if they've got storage and performance requirements, business requirements, security requirements, backup disaster recovery requirement, cost. It might be a huge factor in the question criticality, where you might see a line in the question that says the CIO considers cost as a big factor, or you might see the CIO does not consider cost as an important factor for this solution. Put it down, write it down so you can refer to it as you think through the question. Again, be prepared for option questions that might ask for, for example, 3 responses, but it might be 2 responses or 4 responses. And then these might repeat over and over again for about 4 questions. So you might see these standard 7 responses to a question, but the question segment changes at the very end of the segment of the sentences. So maybe the top 2, build a standard data tier Databricks cluster, or stop the cluster. It might be an answer, but the next question, it might be start the cluster and select data analytics workload. So it all depends on the question, the sentence segment, but the answers could be the same for 3 to 4 questions. Sorry. Build a study timeline and then stick to it. If you're going to give yourself 15 days, which is kind of short, 30 days, 60 days, focus on big things like take the exam, build a plan and study. If you've got a Azure Sandbox at work, use the labs. You can repeat all of these modules, and you can repeat all these learning paths, which will include access out to the Azure Sandbox to complete whatever task is in the labs. There's things like Pluralsight. There's other online content. There's online study guide. Don't just read about what you're looking at. Do it. Go into Azure. Build that muscle. And then the day before you take your exam, get plenty of rest. Be going over notes. Get a reasonable meal. All that kind of good stuff. Don't go party it up. Again, take the exam. Determine your weak areas. Learn the environmental variables about the test site. I take my exams at work because I can sit in a private cubicle. It's got the one window, 4 walls, and a door. When I take my exam, the proctor looks through the camera, and I hold the laptop and show them the walls, show them the door, show them the window. I keep my book bag outside of my little cubicle or my little office space. And get used to that. And if you're going to do that, cool. If you're going to go to a test center, cool. Just know how long it's going to take to get to the test center. Understand whatever the test center might ask you for. You'll have to probably have an ID, a picture ID. I know for my exams, I have to show a picture of ID and take a picture of it and upload it. If you've got any notes that you keep with you, take them with you to the test center. But just be prepared to put them away as you take the exam. You can't have any notes. I believe you can have a single sheet of paper with a pen. Build a plan and study. I mean, based it on your prep time. Use the Microsoft Learn site for the roles, and then block the time off on your calendar and stick to it. Like every day, knock out some study prep time. I know this slide is probably in some quarters might be fantasy land because it's probably very difficult in some cases to build a plan and study to block off time on your calendar. But if you do, and it becomes a habit, and it becomes a habit for your coworkers to know that you've got this time, or your family to know you've got this time set aside to prepare, they'll get used to it, and so will you, and you'll be able to move through and get your certifications. Again, day before, plenty of rest. Don't schedule it too late in the day, and don't do it when you've got a customer meeting and then go take the exam. What I do on the day of the exam, I get up early, drink some coffee, go through my notes. I go to work, I sit in my little test area, my little office, shut the door, and then I study my notes up until then. Might grab some coffee at work too. I like coffee. And then right before I take the exam, I clear out my office space, and then I start the process of checking in. I know I need 15 minutes or so to check in with getting my ID card uploaded, and then I sign in. The tutor reaches out to me because remember I do online proctoring instead of test center. The proctor looks at my office area and then lets me take the test. Cloud Skills Challenge. I need to check on this to see if we have it for fiscal year 2021. Microsoft, if you didn't know, just started a new fiscal year, so we're in FY21. I need to see what kind of resources we're putting towards the Cloud Skills Challenge. But they are 30-day challenges where you complete a series of Azure tasks. They're self-paced, they're online, and they're free. It's sort of gamified because you get a dashboard view of yourself and your peers in your organization, other participants for the challenge. to compete against one another to knock out these Azure tasks. And when you knock out these Azure tasks for the Cloud Skills Challenge, you get prizes, creates a learning culture. It allows for all of these things: incentive to learn, internal promotion opportunities, skill gaps, keeps your skills current, all that good stuff for the 30-day challenge. But you can win swag, you can win prizes, compete against one another. Of course, you'll learn. You want to be able to learn. You interact with Microsoft Learn and the Sandbox to move up and down the dashboard. This does not hit your own internal Azure subscription for your own. Maybe you have an MSDN resource or your company's Azure subscription. It's all Sandbox based, which is the resource that Microsoft gives you for free. And it's a way for you to maybe get in and out of Azure training without hitting your company's resources. But they're fun. But I do need to, I'll post this on the discussion area, but we just went through our annual corporate conference called Microsoft Ready. And I wasn't sure if they announced anything new for the Cloud Skills Challenge. I'll put it on the top level discussion area on Meetup. So for session resources, again, go out to microsoft.com/learn or docs.microsoft.com with the rest of the /. Microsoft certification overview, aka.ms, MS Cert. Learning partners, if you've got a partner, you want to see if you can pull in some instructor-led training. We've got some good partners out there, aka.ms/learning partners. If you're interested in certification exams, go out to aka.ms exams Azure. Microsoft 365 training, if you're interested in any of that, try Microsoft 365 Learn. And there's quite a few online resources that we didn't get into today. There's Channel 9, bloggers, of course, and then there's Internet Test Prep sites, which I really won't go into at all here, but just know that they're there. And with that, I'll just open it up for questions. Let me see if we've got any right now. Will the fundamentals exam replace the current MTA certs? Steve, I think so. I think the fundamentals exams will replace the current MTA certifications, simply because they are trying to consolidate everything. And by doing that consolidation, they're also replacing these certs. Let me double check on that. Let's see, DP300 is in beta for a long time. Any ideas when it might be public? You can always go out to MS Learn. I don't get any announcements about when an exam. Oh God. Hold on. I don't get any heads up on when an exam is coming out of a beta or not. But I can check for you and post it on the discussions. What are the pros and cons for taking a beta exam? I've heard, I've not taken a beta exam, but I've heard that they are much more lenient. This is a pro for taking a beta exam. They're much more lenient on the scoring. They're trying to assess how a question is answered to check for content validity, relevance to learning, tying into the core content for a pro. The con for taking a beta exam is that you don't get the results immediately. You have to wait 2 weeks. They look at your scores, how you answered, and within a couple of weeks, you will get your response. So that's a con for the beta exam, for sure. Do we have any other questions out there, guys? Is there a difference in the exams from past certification exams, such as SQL, MCSA exams, to the newer role-based counterparts? I did see several case studies in the SQL 2016 exam. I would say the biggest difference is the hands-on lab part of the exam. Having said that, I've not really encountered a heavy set of hands-on lab questions. I didn't encounter them for the AI associate exam, and I did not encounter them for the data engineer associate exam. So I would say the labs, but you're right. I mean, right now it's without the labs, it's sort of the same set of question formats, repeated, you know, a question segment that might change a little bit with repeating type answers. Case studies, yep, you're right. They were in 2016 and they're in the Azure exams. The labs are the biggest piece of change when you get a labs or when you get labs. Any other questions, folks? Yesterday was my birthday, so once I get done talking to you guys, I'm done for the day, and I'm gonna go and enjoy a longer weekend. I'm off on Monday. Okay, no other questions? Oh man, I wasn't fishing for that, but thank you, thank you very much. And I'm gonna go ahead and shut off the recording.